Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. So in these lectures, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll translate lectures by Mufti Muhammad Saeed Khan Sahab. Um, so Mufti Saeed Khan Sahab is a prominent scholar from Pakistan, and all of his lectures and his profile is available on the website www.sirat.net. So we'll start inshallah by translating Surah Fatihah. These lectures will not be word to word translations of his lectures. Of course, if you know Urdu, you should go to this website and listen directly to his lectures instead of listening to these lectures. These lectures will be mostly for people who don't speak Urdu as their native language. So as I said, these lectures will be essentially summary and translation of the lectures by Mufti Saab. So let's start the translation or the tafseer of Surah Fatihah. Surah Fatihah is the opening chapter of the Quran. It is the first chapter of the Quran, and it is the most read surah in the Quran, because we read Surah Fatihah in every prayers during 5 times a day, and we read Surah Fatihah in every section of the prayers. So therefore it is important to understand what the surah says and what is the explanation and what is the translation of the surah. Here is the outline of the lecture. We'll first start by translating Surah Fatihah. This will be a quick translation of the surah, and then we'll start the introduction, and as part of the introduction we'll go through the names of Surah Fatihah, and we'll also discuss how Surah Fatihah is the summary of the Quran and the number of verses in Surah Fatihah, and then inshallah we'll perform the tafsir of each verse of Surah Fatihah. So let's start the translation of Surah Fatihah. We will start with the ta'awuz. The ta'awuz is not part of Surah Fatihah. We'll discuss that in more detail. So in the next slide you will see the first verse of the Surah Fatihah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge with Allah from the cursed Satan. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Most gracious, most merciful. Maliki Yawmiddin. Master of the Day of Judgment. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Keep us on the right path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who earned your anger, nor of those who went astray. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Let's start with the translation of the word surah and the word Fatihah. Surah in Arabic means a large or beautiful building or structure, a symbol, status or phase, high or respectable status. So all these translations can be found for this word. So in this sense, every surah in the Quran is a structure or a phase that we come across, and then once we complete one structure, we move on to the next. So the word Fatihah, you can translate the word Fatihah as someone who opens up something. So Fatihah, Surah Fatihah is called Surah Fatihah because it opens up the Quran. It starts the Quran. Every word in Arabic has a root word So the root word of Fatiha is Fataha, which means to open up something. And again, Surah Fatiha is called Surah Fatiha because it opens up the Quran. And there are several names of Surah Fatiha as we will discuss in the coming slides. So let's discuss where was Surah Fatiha revealed. According to majority of the scholars, Surah Fatiha was revealed in Mecca since Muslims started praying over there, and it is and Surah Fatiha is a mandatory part of the prayers. And while discussing this matter, Mufti Muhammad Sayyid Khan Sahib discussed the distinction between Makki surahs and Madani surahs. And it is important for us to understand this distinction. So when we read the Quran in the beginning of surahs, it's typically stated whether a surah is Makki or Madani. So what does that mean? So for a surah to be Makki or Madani means that that's the opinion of the majority of scholars. For most of the surahs in the Quran, it is difficult to say with utmost surety that a certain surah was completely revealed at a particular place. There are, however, some exceptions. Um, for example, Surah Al-Masad, Tabbat Yada Abi Lahab wa Tab. That surah was revealed in Mecca. But for the majority of the surahs, we can't say for sure whether a particular surah was completely revealed at a particular place. Let's look at Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah is a Madani surah, but that does not mean that it was completely revealed in Medina. And the reason for that is there is a verse about which prominent companions of the Prophet ﷺ have said that that verse was revealed in Mecca. So the important distinction is that any surah that's revealed after the migration to Medina is Madani surah, and any surah that's revealed before the migration to Medina is Makki surah. Furthermore, Mecca was conquered in 8 Hijri, 8 years after the migration to Medina, and 2 years after that the Prophet ﷺ performed the final Hajj. And during the Hajj, the verse اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا, this verse was revealed in Mecca at Arafat. But the Prophet ﷺ kept this verse in a Madani surah, which is Surah Ma'idah. So this shows that the Prophet ﷺ used to allocate verses to surah based on the wahi or the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.